Well, terrific to talk to you today, Natasha. Look forward to hearing more about the Rossborough business and some of the latest trends you're seeing from the industry. It was terrific to work with you on an event last year in the Isle of Man. But for those who haven't had the chance to meet you, it'd be really interesting to hear a little bit more about Rossborough and your role at the company.
Sure. Good morning, David. So, Rossborough, we've been trading in the Channel Islands for over 90 years, actually, and the Isle of Man in particular, over 20 years. So we're well established locally. However, 2013, we were acquired by Gallagher. So Gallagher is the third largest broker in the world. So this was quite a critical moment for us, a bit of a game changer, really, because at that moment, it suddenly provided us with access to a global network of colleagues and access to markets, specialisms and expertise that we hadn't previously had, and kind of shaped how we service our clients now. So we very much provide an advice-led proposition at Rossborough about identifying risks for those clients and trying to help them mitigate or transfer the risk.
And part of the Gallagher group then gives you that broad reach to be able to solve any insurance need that they have.
Absolutely. I wouldn't like to say solve any insurance need, but the majority of needs, absolutely we can.
And in the islands there, down in the Channel Islands, what are some of the most common popular products and solutions that you offer and you're talking to clients and professional advisors about?
The Channel Islands and the Isle of Man, it's quite diverse. So as a business, we cater to all of those needs. We have a number of ultra high net worth private clients that we look after. So that might be talking to them about their assets, their property, real estate. It could be fine art, jewellery. But then it's also looking at their business needs. So we might be looking at their commercial property, their liabilities, directors and officers cover, professional indemnity. And something else that we get involved in quite a lot is private medical. So we also do we have an international healthcare team here. And that's quite popular, for private clients and high net worth individuals. We can do that for families and businesses. So a full range, really, and not forgetting things, the toys such as the boats and the planes, those kind of things.
And I guess you must deal with the professional advisors, clients, as well as the end client themselves in a sort of team approach, particularly when looking after these complex assets.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have relationships with clients directly. And we try to develop those relationships, so that we really get to know the client. We understand their needs, and it means that we can then advise them specifically aligned to their needs. It might be a client that travels quite a lot. It might be a client that, kidnap and ransom, for example. That's another product that we offer. Crisis resilience. So we sometimes deal with clients directly, and we have a great relationship, but it might be that we deal with a family office, a private office. So we have a private office proposition, and that's kind of it's a relationship management model. It's a concierge service where we deal with those advisors, and we provide that advice to them in terms of what that family office should be looking for in terms of risk management.
Do you think it's important to have a dedicated private office team because there is such a sort of specialist area? Do you think there's extra value in sort of packaging a product?
Yeah, I think so. And what we found as well is that there's no one client that is the same and has the same needs. You and I might have a typical kind of portfolio of needs, but actually when you start getting the wealthier the individual, the bigger the family, the bigger the estate, the bigger the team that's looking after that individual, it then becomes much more bespoke and it becomes much more advice-led because the risks aren't the same for every family. And actually, the concerns and the challenges and the needs of that individual will be different. So it absolutely needs a bespoke approach for each individual family.
So you sponsored PCD in the Isle of Man last summer in June. You mentioned being in the Isle of Man for the last 20 years. Perhaps tell us a little bit more about that area of the business.
Yeah, so the Isle of Man, for us, it's an area that we really want to grow. The Isle of Man is a major international finance centre, and it's a mature jurisdiction. So, we feel that nowadays, a global footprint is a standard, and it doesn't really matter whether we're in Jersey, Guernsey, or the Isle of Man. Our roles cover all jurisdictions. And having been to the Isle of Man now quite frequently, there's lots of opportunity there. It's actually quite a dynamic business environment there, and we feel actually for us it's somewhere we can really there's still continued growth opportunities for us there.
I guess there's many groups in the Channel Islands that are also well represented there. So for you, it helps you build out relationships with groups you've already got good relationships with elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite obvious actually when you go over to the Isle of Man, and particularly at the dinner this year. There's so many businesses there that have got a footprint in Jersey and Guernsey. Some of them might be headquartered in the Isle of Man, some of them headquartered here in Jersey or in Guernsey. So having that connectivity and that presence there is really important to us.
And what are some of the headline trends you're seeing in the industry at the moment?
So I would say, God, I don't want to mention that dreaded C word in COVID, but because of COVID, because of Brexit, and I would say the conflict in Ukraine, underinsurance it continues to be a real challenge for us, and it will be for some time. With inflation at record levels, there's some recent research that Gallagher have done in the UK actually, which indicated that as many as 40% of commercial properties were likely to be underinsured. Now that's significant, and if we drill down, what does that mean for our clients? It means that, in the event of a loss, the claim could be proportionately reduced, or worst case scenario, it might not be paid. And ultimately, that's why we place insurance products, so that if the worst happens, that that claim is going to be paid. Now, inflation at the levels that it's at the moment means that it's very difficult to, traditionally, the Association of British Insurers will recommend that you get valuations on your property every 3 years. But obviously, as you know, in the last 3 years, things have changed significantly. So that's where it's really important, actually, that you are picking a trusted advisor, a broker that actually, brokers of old were very much transactional insurance brokers placing policies, whereas you need a broker, you need an advisor that actually understands the risk. And it's important that the broker, the advisor that you choose, has relationships and trades with insurers that are going to pay claims. So just as a big example there, for our private clients, we deal with a number of ultra high net worth insurers that provide an automatic reinstatement. So that means that once they've been out and looked at your property and surveyed it and they've got a value, they will reinstate that regardless. So that takes the onus off of the client and back to the insurer to make sure that they have an adequate sum insured. And it's those little nuances really that really can make a difference. It can make a difference between a claim being paid and not paid. And ultimately, that's what you buy insurance for. So that's where it becomes really important to pick an advisor that is qualified to advise you. In Jersey, actually, and the Isle of Man, and hopefully soon in Guernsey, we are chartered. So we're a chartered broker. And in Jersey and the Isle of Man, the only chartered broker. And again, that really matters, It means that we've all been through a process. We're qualified, and we're qualified to advise you.
That must make a real difference for your co-professionals who are also risking their reputation when they're making recommendations, or that causes material problems for them if claims don't get paid for their clients. So that must, absolutely, when you go through that process with them, it must really solidify your relationship.
Absolutely, and particularly when we're dealing, moving away from private clients, but if we're dealing with trust companies, there's a fiduciary responsibility there, and we do try and encourage that thought process, because we need to make sure that we're all ultimately trying to look after the client at the end of the day, and we need to make sure that policies respond as they should. Inflation's a big issue, underinsurance is a big issue, and with the conflict in Ukraine, so supply chain issues, and how that translates into the insurance world. A lot of the materials, the critical materials, iron and steel and such like, there's challenges in sourcing them and the costs. And what that means then is that construction projects are delayed, costs increase, and that then has a knock-on effect. So there's lots of challenges at the moment, and I see it as our job as an advisor to identify those challenges and really try and find solutions as we move through what is quite a volatile economic climate at the moment.
And we're at the start of a brand new year at the moment, 2023. A lot of people like looking at the year ahead and what they're trying to do within their business. What are your goals for the year? What's the priorities of the business as we come into this fresh year?
So I guess so ultimately looking after our customers and thinking ahead, what is the next challenge for our customers, or what's going to be the next thing that they face. And I think the only way we can do that is by having a really deep understanding of our clients, of their needs, of the challenges that they face. And that allows us to then source products, source solutions to help them mitigate or transfer that risk, which actually allows them to face their future with confidence in a world and in a climate when there's quite a lot of uncertainty. And that's ultimately what we want to do and continue doing in all the islands and globally. Being part of Gallagher and being part of that network, it really is invaluable. We have a resource at our fingertips that our job is to bring those solutions to our clients.
Well, fantastic, Natasha. Great to talk to you today, and look forward to seeing you at some networking events throughout the course of the year.
And you too, David. Thank you.